KO. Incredible. Shut down. Triple KO. Quadra KO.
No one comes to see me unless they need something.
Alright guys, so in this video we are going to talk about Blade. So we are going to talk about his abilities, his item builds and all that, counters and matchups and all that. So Blade is basically a melee fighter character, okay, and he has tons of lifesteal, like tons of lifesteal. If the game goes in the game goes into ultra late durations, the kind of lifestyle he has is ridiculous, guys. It's a lot. Okay, so one more thing is he is generally played in a jungling role. I've tried playing him in normal lanes, but I find jungling is way more better for him. Okay, so we'll be talking about his abilities now. Alright, so Blade's passive is pretty simple. What it basically says is after every three hits, the fourth hit will do an additional hit. So what? So it's like in every four hits, you will get a fifth hit also. So in a four hits, you get five hits, kind of a thing. So yeah, one more thing is that this passive also works on his other abilities, like his second and third ability, where you do hits in that also, right? So even those hits will be counted in this passive calculation. So it is a pretty good ability because you build for critical strike and attack speed and stuff, right? So the more attacks you put, the more times the passive will strike. So it's a good ability. Alright, so let's talk about Blade's first ability, Shadowless Edge. So basically, when Blade activates this ability, he will uh, hit five times around him. So when you activate the ability, there's a radius around Blades, right? So in that radius, he hits all the enemies that are in that radius five times. And there are two components for this. So the first one is the ability takes around 1 minute, sorry, 1 second, sorry. So 1 second to run. So in that 1 second duration, Blade is basically untargetable. So whatever attacks are being targeted at Blade, or whatever stuns that enemies might have tried to stun him with, will basically be rendered useless because he's untargetable. So that's what untargetable does. Okay, so we'll talk about this thing in detail in a few minutes, but there's another component to it. So basically, this ability is marked as a HP regen ability if you see the description. So what this does is based on how many enemies you hit, how many enemies you hit, you regenerate a basic little bit of amount of HP. So out of the enemies, if you hit a actual hero, you will regenerate a little more than a normal minion, right? So generally how I go with this is I don't really put a lot of points in this because this doesn't do a lot of damage. So I only put 1 point in it whenever maybe in the second level or something, I put 1 point in this ability so that I get the untargetable skill and I can maybe use the regeneration a little bit, but that's it. I generally prefer putting more points in the second ability than the first ability. So yeah. Also, one more point to note is that if you look at the regeneration thing, so Blade gets around 10 HP and there's a plus 15% bonus physical attack bonus applied on the regeneration. So since we kind of build Blade in a physical carry kind of a thing, I mean, if since all the items we get actually add physical attack to Blade, this ability will kind of scale with that. So if you actually look at all the Blade abilities also, the almost all of his abilities kind of scale with physical attack. So his kit is very tight, and all the abilities you kind of get actually help Blades all of his abilities really well. They really go well with all of his abilities. Alright, so let's talk about Blade's second ability, Silver Slayer. So this is a damage based ability, and in my opinion this is one of the best ability that Blade has got. So whenever I play a Blade match, what I do is whenever I get a point, whenever I level up, if there is a level up option for this ability, I put it. I take a level on this particular ability and I try to max it out as soon as possible. So what this ability does is you have to aim. It's a aiming ability. So if you aim at a particular direction, and blade will basically throw five bullets or darts or something in a particular direction. So it kind of works like a shotgun. So the closer you are to the enemy, the more the darts will hit him, and the farther the enemy goes, the lesser the darts hit, and the lesser the damage he deals. So that is one thing. But there's another thing about this ability. So if you look at the description, it reduces enemy's armor by 10% for 3 seconds. So this is kind of good, since we already since I already told that we kind of get physical damage based items for blade. So armor reduction actually works well with him. You do a lot of damage for whatever hits you do in the next 3 seconds. So the way you do it is, before you even start hitting an enemy, first use this ability to reduce his armor, and then start hitting him. You do a lot of damage. And even this ability also helps out in jungling. So I generally get deadly leech or leech for blade as an ability. So when I am starting to hit a creep, I use a deadly leech and then hit with silver slayer and start hitting the minion. So he surprisingly takes out minions really fast, and he doesn't take a lot of damage in the process. Also, he gets back a lot of damage what he does because of lot of regeneration components he has. And also, I'll talk about this later, but we there's a particular power core build that he has to take, an item build has to take, so that he gets a lot of regeneration back, lot of health back, which we'll discuss in a while. Okay, so let's move on to the third ability, uh, Killer Instinct. So this ability is marked as a blink ability. So it's pretty simple. Like any other blink ability that any other hero has, this ability can be used to either escape from a gank if you're going to get killed. So you can try use it to escape, or you can engage an enemy if someone is trying to flee, right? So there's another thing that he blade does in this. What When he lands at an enemy, he deals 100 or something damage. He deals some damage and slows the enemy for 85% slow for a particular amount of duration. And this slow is kind of helpful. You can use this ability as soon as you start engaging an enemy. So first blink in, let's say he's the single, if there's an enemy and he's only one over there, then blink at him, slow him down, use your second ability, reduce his armor, and start hitting him. And maybe in the process, if you have very low health, then use your first ability to get some health back. So all in all, blade actually is very really good for one-on-one matchups, in my opinion. As long as the enemy doesn't have stuns, or if he doesn't have a escape ability, which he will try to escape if he is in a lot of danger. So blade doesn't have a stun or anything per se, right? So it's hard to kill enemies that escape. So pick matchups properly. Any squishy enemy is easily killable by blade as long as he doesn't have any stun. So you can just blink in, slow him down, and kill him as soon as possible. And blade will actually get a lot of health back too. So really good ability. And yeah. Alright, so let's talk about Blade's final ability, Blood Hunter. It's Blade's ultimate, and it's marked as an enhanced type of an ability. So in this ability, Blade will basically, when you activate this ability, Blade will enter into a Blood Rage mode, and it will take him around 0.5 seconds or something, I guess, to enter into it. So uh, basically what he gets is, he gets 40% life steal, HP steal, or life steal you can say, whenever he hits enemies. And there's an increased range to it of 50% and 50% attack speed, 50% attack speed increase, and movement speed increase. So basically it's like a, what do you call, it could be considered as a ganking ability, right? So I'll tell you why. So if you look at the description, it's written that whenever you are enraged, whenever Blade is enraged, his particular duration of this particular status increases by 3 seconds for every kill Blade takes when he's enraged. So once you activate the ability and once you start hitting and killing people, suppose you kill one hero, so the ability on this, the duration on this ability increases by 3 seconds. So since Blood Rage is active for 8 seconds, and if you kill an enemy in that duration, then it becomes 11 seconds. It works that way. So it goes up to 9 seconds, and for every assist that Blade takes and the cooldown on the ability, sorry, my bad. So every basic attack you do, it reduces the cooldown of Killer Instant by 0.5 seconds. So it actually reduces the cooldown of what I guess third ability, I think, yeah. So yeah, it basically means that you can blink even faster than normally when you actually activate Blood Hunter. So why I call this as a ganking ability is since in ganking you can take kills and do assists and do more basic attacks, and you also get a lot of health back before you get into a gank, or if you even blink into an enemy, activate Blood Hunter, okay, blink in, hit your second ability, start hitting. If you go below health, same routine, so use your first ability. So Blade is a good ganker, and use this ability whenever you're going to a gank. Alright, so let's talk about a few combos that I use with the Blade. So let's take the first situation when you're trying to chase an enemy and there's a single enemy and you are trying to chase him. So what I go with is, first I blink towards him if he's in range, so the enemy gets slowed, and then I use my second ability, reduces armor, and then keep hitting till he dies. So if the enemy is a little more tankier, or if he is trying to retaliate, so you can use your ultimate also in the process to maybe take him down faster or take him down properly, I guess. Yeah. And there's another situation where you're going to a gank. So I always advise, before going into a gank, you activate your ultimate. First activate your ultimate, and then if you want to blink in, yeah, you can blink in, or if they're just really close by, just walk in, use your second ability and try to hit as many people as possible with second ability. Since it has a cone of damage, you can hit all the enemies if you are if you take some time to position yourself properly, and then start hitting, keep hitting, try to kite, try to get out of the fight. If your health goes below very low, try to get some health back, use your first ability, and if someone is trying to stun you, use your first ability to disjoint that stun. So it is very important that if you want to play this particular character very nicely, you have to see if the enemy is trying to stun you. Just read the check the animations. You can, if you play this game a little while, you'll understand when a character is trying to stun you or when he's trying to hit you with a special ability. Then you can just escape it with your first ability. So this character could be, it's a easy character also, but if you want to play him to his best potential, it might be a little difficult, since the first ability is a little difficult to master for the untargetable skill it has. Alright, so let's talk about the laning phase. And since Blade is a jungling character, so I prefer going for jungling right off the bat. So I don't go into any lane. I start with jungling, maybe on the left jungle of our side of the map. I start jungling from there, use Deadly Leech whenever possible, get the second ability as high as possible in the levels point of view, and then move on to the other jungles. I in my kind of a bracket that I play, people generally don't bother looking at their own jungle. So I also go into enemies jungle and jungle over there, and I try to jungle all the lanes, like all the places. Like there are 4 jungles in the map, right? On our side there is a left jungle, right jungle, and on the enemy side there are 2 other jungle areas. So I try to jungle all the 4 areas, and then at that point I might Blade might typically go till 5th or 6th level already, and he is ready to gank. So I take a few ganks in the process, and then go back to jungling again. And once you get 3 or 4 items and your damage looks like if your damage looks like pretty good, you can start ganking. You can start taking team fights and contribute and taking towers, contribute into team fights, contribute into the win basically. Okay, so let's talk about Blades items. And the main agenda for getting the Blades items is basically trying to cash on physical attack, try to get as much physical attack as possible, and physical attack penetration and attack speed. So when I started playing Blade, I generally went with the jungling build, the default jungling build that the game provides us. But I made a small adjustment in this particular build. So if you check in the end, I built an item. One second. So yeah, it's called Titan's Glory, and this is an item that gives you control immunity for 2 seconds. So the scenario is when the game goes hyper late game and people are fighting it out still. So at this point of time, what happens is the damage is high and people stun. If you get stunned, you are dead. So you have to kind of get past that, right? So you have first ability, yeah, but you need something else also. So this item actually helps you out. So what this item does is it will give you control immunity from control effects for 2 seconds. So control effects are basically the abilities that stun, slow, or all kind of things, or whatever ability that's marked as control come under this category. So you have an immunity for 2 seconds, and it is very important before you go into a gank, activate this ability so that you don't get interrupted when you are hitting into your enemies, and you can do most of the damage as much as possible. We can only keep 6 items in our since we can only keep 6 items, so I generally sell off the boots and instead take this item. Okay, so let's talk about my power core build. For the action particle program, the orange one that you see there, I use a strike particle. It basically increases damage when you're at when your HP is high. So typically when you're jungling, generally your HP is high enough, right? You get a lot of health, so you are generally high. So it helps out in jungling, so does a lot of damage over at that point of time. And you can, it's not a compulsion or anything, so you can replace this with other items, other cores if you want, but this is what I go with. And for the strength module program, I go with restoration module. So whenever you kill someone or some assist is registered in your under you, you restore some HP. And this is good because you go in a lot of ganks, right? And you have decent amount of survivability, so this again increases your survivability a lot. So this is a good one, and I prefer to take this. And the final one is bestial boost or bestial boost. So it increases the duration of buffs you get from beast. So whatever beast you kill, you get a few boosts, like you can incinerate the beast you're hitting, or there are some or when you kill Black Panther, you get a little bit of damage boost. So there are a few good boosts that you get from killing the beast. So this boost, this core actually increases the duration of those buffs. So all right, so let's talk about matchups and counters. So if you are playing Blade, then you should maybe try to avoid any stunners, because if they stun you and if there's some other enemy that is also with them, then they have a high probability of killing you off because you're stunned and you can't do anything about it. So try to avoid stunners. And if you're trying to go one on one with some other enemy, then make sure that he doesn't have any escape abilities, like let's say Iron Man. So Iron Man has a speeding he has escape ability, which is, as per my knowledge, I think it's a third ability. He will be very fast, and he will be easily escape Blade, right? So even Star Lord is kind of like that, I guess. So maybe try avoiding these kind of heroes and try avoiding stunners like Ronan, or for example, what is that? Captain America with his ultimate ability, which he can stun you for a long amount of time, I guess. So these kind of matchups you can avoid if you are fully farmed, and if they are not that well farmed, maybe then you can take the matchups because they only have one stun, right? If you kind of escape that one stun, then you can easily kill them. So yeah. And before closing off, I just wanted to say that all of this, whatever I'm saying, is just my opinion. You can follow it, or if you not follow it, it's completely your up to you. But it's my kind of experience that I had with Blade. So that's that. So one more thing is, if you want to check if you want to check videos of Blade gameplay that without an like uninterrupted version of a gameplay video, then I will be putting up a link in the description of my gameplay that you can check out. Alright, guys. So if you like the content, then comment, like, and subscribe. And for whatever reason you don't like it, so feel free to leave a dislike. So okay, so based on your response, and if you like this content, we will be putting on more content like this. So yeah, it's up to you guys. If you like the content, please put a like. Thank you.